Tonight we're going to be talking some Final Fantasy XIV. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the new gear vendors added to the game with the 5.3 patch, and the gear desert they were added in to alleviate, and how they're not going to do so. In fact, they are going to actively make said gear desert worse. Before we can get into all that though, we have to know what gear desert Yoshi P was alluding to in the live letter prior to 5.3. Basically, because of how easy it is to level up and the amount of story after the end of the .0 patch of each expansion, you're more than likely going to be well beyond the intended starting level of that expansion. Quite likely, you're going to be near or at the intended level cap of that expansion. Level 50 for the end of A Realm Reborn and the beginning of Heaven's Ward, level 60 for the end of Heaven's Ward and the start of Stormblood, and so on. Because of the situation, the gear you will be getting from the leveling quests in each expansion will likely be well below your current level. So the thought was, well, where can I get some gear closer to my level? Going through Heaven's Ward, the intended level for you to get to Idleshire is around level 58. With how the game is currently set up, most players are going to be well beyond 60 before they make it that far. So to alleviate this, they added new vendors in Gridania, Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, Ishgard, and Kugane. How is this going to make the gearing desert worse when leveling, you ask? By extending how long you're going to go without getting any new pieces of gear. Each vendor only sells gear for the expansion in which the city-state they are in was added, meaning if you go to Ishgard, you can't buy the Stormblood or Shadowbringer's gear. When you go to the vendor, you get this menu. Allowing you to choose which job type of gear that you want, and in the second drop-down menu you can see you only have access to gear available in Heaven's Ward for the vendor here in Ishgard. You have access to the Ishgard vendor the moment you step into Ishgard, basically right when you start Heaven's Ward. So if you have the Poetics to spend, you can buy a decent chunk of your 270. Yes, 270 gear. They also changed it with this patch that you buy the augmented pieces instead of the regular ones, which means you can also dye them as soon as you get them rather than having to spend time and effort to get them augmented. But anyway, they cost more Poetics, so you can't buy half the set with your max of 2,000 Poetics, but you can get several pieces all at once, and that's going to make you basically unstoppable, or even more so than you already were, going through the leveling content of the expansion. This serves to extend the gear desert from just being the .1 to .5 patches to the entire expansion of Heaven's Ward and most of Stormblood. But didn't it already exist for leveling, you may be wondering? Well, yes and no. There are players who will be willing to spend money on upgrading their gear while leveling. There are also plenty of players like myself who will save their money knowing the game will give out better gear as you play through it. The gear may not be up to your level, but it will be better than what you were wearing 5 minutes ago. And it'll only cost you the low price of doing a quest you had to do anyway to progress the story. So basically, if you can buy the very top tier gear of the expansion you're currently on before you even finish or start the leveling content of that expansion, all that has happened is they extended the gear desert, not shortened it, for all those players who'd rather save their money rather than buy more current level gear. For players willing to buy gear every so often to keep themselves current, they didn't really solve anything. But what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I crazy? Leave a comment below and please like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.